Hey everyone. So today's video is going to be a little bit different from what I usually post. I only post my music and poetry. That's usually my format, but I want to try something different and kind of post about my story and why I started making music and why I make the music that I make. And I think the only reason why I only post my music and poetry is because I just figure no one would really care about what I do in my personal life or my story. That maybe only the music, the art matters more than the person or my personal life. And but I still want to keep my personal life private. But I think for this video I just want to kind of give you an idea of who I am and my personality. And so yeah, I guess I'll start. If I come off a little awkward throughout this video, I have some social anxiety and I am on the autism spectrum, so I kind of have a hard time socializing and um, talking to people and making friends. But so yeah, where could I start? Well, I guess I'll just start with my influences. And where my, what inspires me to write and to record. So to give a little background on that, I take a lot of inspiration from a lot of classic rock bands, a lot of underground stuff that most people probably wouldn't even know or aren't familiar with. And they probably wouldn't like it, but I like it. So I take inspiration from bands like Kiss, Black Sabbath, the Beatles, of course, sometimes Alice Cooper, definitely the Doors. I'm a huge Doors fan, as well as a huge Kiss fan. But I take a lot of inspiration from the Doors. I think a lot of my singing has been inspired by the Doors music, listening to Jim Morrison. And I think that's where I kind of found my natural voice. But I try not to sound entirely like Jim Morrison, but just enough to where I still me, you know. But I do take a lot of inspiration from those artists, those bands. Another thing, I do take inspiration from a lot of modern indie rock. People like, for example, Tame Impala, Mac DeMarco, Tyler the Creator. Even though he's not indie, but he's kind of somewhere in there, I guess. I don't know. Who else? Yeah, just a lot of current indie rock music. Some, from the past decade, but a lot of it's uh, just a lot of indie, and. So I take a lot of inspiration from them, and I also see my mind is scattered right now. I'm just bear with me on this. But I'm kind of nervous doing this. I'm not used to being in front of a camera and talking about myself and what I'm doing. And but anyway, as I was saying before, yeah, I take a lot of inspiration from those artists like Ariel Pink. He's another huge favorite of mine. I've been listening to since I was 15. I'm 30 now. I still listen to him, but ever since I discovered him on the underground Sirius XM stations, I got hooked. So I take a lot of inspiration from him, definitely Mac DeMarco. And yeah. And I also gather my ideas from um, sometimes classical music. I'll take inspiration from that. Jazz music, whatever I'm listening to at the moment, a song will come out of it, my own song, and I try to make it my own thing instead of exactly what I was listening to or the artist I was listening to. So, yeah, I know it's a little confusing because I'm experimenting with a lot of different styles and genres, and I know some people may be a little confused by that, and I understand it's not something they're used to hearing or what they're used to seeing. But I just feel like if I am not experimenting, I'm not being true to myself. And I kind of don't want to just stay in one lane. I want to keep experimenting and doing different stuff and seeing what I could do and what could work or what may not work. I know that can be a bit confusing. I understand, but that's just how I'm creating. I'm kind of taking a different approach. Because in my head at the time when I started all of this, I thought that it would be a great idea to experiment, take inspiration from all the bands and artists that have had a great influence on me and kind of merge it into one thing and see how it goes. And I've been doing that for a while. And some stuff I'm proud of, some stuff not so much. Some things I wish would have done a little bit better as far as songwriting and maybe mixing it and producing it. But at the time I was just kind of like really working myself to the point of exhaustion, and I just would just put out whatever you finish, just put it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. But now I know a little bit better. So whenever I create new stuff or new music, I try to keep that in mind and use different techniques than what I've done before. And so yeah, that's kind of my whole process with that. And I also take a lot of another favorite band of mine is the Misfits. I'm a huge Misfits fan. I love Glenn Danzig. I took a little bit of inspiration from him as far as singing too. So if you ever want to listen to my tracks, maybe you might get that, maybe not, that's fine. And yeah, it's just, I've taken a lot of inspiration from a lot of weird different influences. I mean, that's kind of a weird mix, and I guess the way I'm doing it might be a little weird, but something I like, I enjoy doing, and it's something I'm passionate about, and I love doing it genuinely. Yeah, I'm a little tired right now. I'm a little burnt out, so my mind is kind of working slow, and my thoughts are scattered. But I'm just gonna try to cover as much as I can in this video. And yeah, so I take a lot of inspiration from those people, and that's very evident in my music. Well, before I even started doing this on my own, I was in a band a long time ago. And we were just playing straight up rock and roll. It wasn't anything experimental. It was just straight up rock and roll. And at the time I loved it. Then after a while I started getting a little bit bored with it. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. I wasn't happy. You know, just only doing rock and roll. I love rock and roll. Don't get me wrong, but that's all I was doing in that band. And we were pretty good, but I just wasn't happy in the direction. I just felt like I needed to go on my own and do my own thing. And I've been doing it ever since. I've been doing my own recording, writing my own songs. I mean, everything you hear, if you ever look up my music, everything you hear it's all me. Some stuff I made on the computer. As far as the synth pop tracks, yeah, I did those on the computer. But I also used my own instrumentation. A lot of the rock and roll stuff I did all on my own. And I recorded it on my own. And if you ever want to check out my creative process or my recording process, it's under the video titled My Creative Process. And it's just me talking about how I go about recording my music and how I write my songs. Yeah, I'm pretty much doing all this by myself. I really don't have any help from anybody. Yeah. So, and as far as my personality, so I don't like talking about myself too much. It just feels weird to me. But I guess I'd consider myself very quiet, very self-reserved. I'm a bit of a loner. I really don't talk to people much, or anyone my age. It's kind of hard for me to relate to people these days. It always has been, but now even more, now that I'm older. And I guess the only connection I have is my parents, who I'm thankful for, and who I love dearly. But I guess, yeah, that's all I can say about my personality. I'm very quiet. Sometimes I'm a bit shy. I'm not very comfortable talking in front of people or public speaking or even making videos like this of me talking. I'm comfortable with just posting my music or singing or reciting a poem I wrote. I'm more comfortable that way, but doing this is a little bit out of my element. But I'm trying. I hope I'm doing a good job of it. I don't know. Yeah. So I know what I'm doing musically, it's a little weird. But, I'm doing that on purpose. I want to make it weird on purpose. I want to make it different. I don't want to sound like anybody else. I want to be a completely different thing. I know it's kind of weird. It's very bizarre, but that's how I that's how I like expressing myself. I can't I don't like predictability. I like to change it up sometimes. You're not going to eat the same food every day. So why not apply it to music? I mean, there should be nothing wrong with that. Yeah, but I think that what I'm doing really isn't all that different from whatever anyone else is doing. It's experimental. I consider my music experimental and indie. It is on the indie side. At least to me, it is. And I think another thing with my songwriting is I take a lot of inspiration from my life experiences, things that have happened to me, things that have happened to me as a child or growing up or as a teenager. Some songs I just make them up just to see what I could do musically. There's really no real life experience or backstory behind it. It's just me making a song for fun. Other songs do have those real life experiences. Like for example, the song I wrote Everywhere. I don't want to get too specific or personal, but that song is about somebody that I lost to cancer, and she was very dear to me and very close to me, and I think about her every day. So I decided to write a song about it. And that's why I named it Everywhere, because everywhere I go I think about her a lot. And I'm very proud of that song as far as what I did musically. Incorporating different chords, not playing the same two chords all the time like I usually do. Now that I've been studying music theory, taking lessons, and getting insight from my instructors and piano teachers, I've kind of know a little bit about chord progressions, diatonic scales, and all that stuff. So now I've kind of gotten a little bit better with my songwriting and incorporating different chords that will complement the song well. Yeah, it's just whatever I want to do musically. But that song I'm very proud of. And I'm very proud that I got a lot of that off my chest with that song. Because, I think about that every day. And I think about her every day. And I talk to her every day. So I thought it'd be a good idea to just release that through a song. If you ever run out of ideas, just take inspiration, just talk about your what happened to you in your real life or anything that's you've experienced. That's how I do it. If I ever run out of creative ideas, I just talk about whatever I'm going through, what I've gone through before. And it's kind of it's a big it's cathartic for me, but I think it's a good thing for me emotionally too. So yeah, that's an example. That song Everywhere. If you ever want to listen to it, you're more than welcome to. Yeah. So I guess I'm almost 21 minutes. Wow. I didn't think I'd be that long. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about that, my experiences, my music, and why I make the music I do. Basically, it's just to express myself authentically, honestly, and unapologetically. And I do that through experimentation. And I know some people, when they hear my music, they a little startled and confused, and I understand that because every song is different from the other. But that's just my process, and that's how, like, for me, that's the way I express myself best. I could do straight up rock and roll, and I have done a few songs like that. But if I was just doing that all the time, there's nothing wrong with that, but if I just did it all the time, I would kind of get bored after a while, and I just wouldn't feel like I was being honest with myself and writing my songs. So I know my approach is kind of a little bit unorthodox and maybe out of the norm completely, but that's my self-expression there. And I don't want to take that, I don't want to just throw that away just to please people. I have to be honest with myself. I can't lie, can't put up a front, can't put up a facade. I wouldn't live with myself. I wouldn't sleep at night if I wasn't honest with myself in my life and in my music. So yeah. I know it's a bit of a long video, longer than I usually do. But I just wanted to make this video just to talk about that and give you a little bit of insight into my personality and who I am as a person, not just as a musician or as an artist or a poet. That's what you want to call me. I don't consider myself a poet. I write whatever I'm feeling. I just write it down, whether it's through a poem or music. It's pretty much the same thing. I just write it down and I try to get it out there. And if people like it, fine. If they don't like it or they don't get it, that's okay too. I'm not gonna fault anyone for that. It's just that's my process. That's me being truly honest with myself. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to make this video just to give you a little bit of background on me, my style, my influences, who I am as a person. So yeah, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe, whatever, and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you for the next video. Okay.